Hello and welcome back to Luke-N-SHAE'S place. I hope everybody's been having a great day. I hope you had a great day at work for those who went to work, and anybody else that didn't go to work. I pray that you had a great day. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we have a banger reaction video for you tonight. But before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe. When you like, that puts us in the algorithm to grow our platform so that other viewers can find us on here. And also share, because if you like it, share it with your family and friends to get our platform bigger. And subscribe, because when you subscribe, it gets you notifications so that you know when we're posting content and also when we're scheduling a live feed. So like, share, and subscribe, please. How you doing, Luke?
I'm blessed. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Blessed
Excellent,
as well.
Excellent. Awesome. You ready to hit this new hot banger video? I have never seen it, so I'm gonna be completely new with my reaction.
Yes, we both are. And again, at Luke-N-SHAE'S place, we know we have our viewers from different mindsets as far as your political views and different things like that. And we're not a biased podcast. We try to just share content that we know that are important to people. People are talking about it today.
That's affecting our society.
Yes, that's affecting our society. And recently we did one. I believe we had a video that we posted with Amy Chen, who was talking about her different views on different things that has gone on in our country. So this video, ran across this video. We're watching it for the first time with you, and to have a legit reaction to it. So let's see what we have going here. Let's get it.
Well, Donald Trump is busy deporting the undocumented, who are the very workers that are helping with disaster recovery in the states that voted for him, because the vast majority of the resilience or recovery workers that go into unstable buildings, that subject themselves to open gas lines, to environmental disasters, while they're helping Americans rebuild their houses, their communities, and their buildings, the vast majority of that are undocumented, including a group from Venezuela, which is now the subject of a new eviction order by Kristi Noem, revoking their temporary protective status because she equates all undocumented with criminals, when she knows, or should know, that the vast majority of crime in this country is committed by good old-fashioned Americans, and that there's a very, very small percentage, by contrast, of undocumented that commit crimes. The vast majority, I'm talking about 95% of undocumented or more, are here to earn a living, to try to pursue the American dream any way they can, not commit crime. I'm Michael Popak. You're on the Midas Touch Network and Legal AF. And let's talk about this law of unintended consequences. I thought this group of people that are in this region, Florida, Texas, North Carolina, Georgia, and now Los Angeles, where in the Florida, Texas, North Carolina, Georgia region, over $60 billion of damage has happened to houses and buildings and infrastructure. And in California, $245 billion. Who do they think in the MAGA world, who do they think is rebuilding these buildings? It's not Americans. It has been a dirty secret for a long, long time in America, starting back before Hurricane Katrina, that the vast majority, up to 70%, of what they call it resilience workers, or we used to call it disaster recovery workers, are undocumented. They're working hard, doing dirty jobs that we don't want to do. And many of them are here in our country rebuilding other people's homes, while their own homes have also suffered from the same natural disaster. They're leaving Honduras. They're leaving Venezuela. They're leaving the Caribbean and other places where the hurricane may have already hit there, to come here to help Americans rebuild theirs to make money. And the first thing that Donald Trump wants to do is instantly make this false equivalency between the undocumented and criminals, and then have Kristi Noem, which did just in the last 24 hours, say, oh, you know those 600,000 hardworking Venezuelans, many of them in the construction industry and in the disaster recovery industry, get them out of the country. We don't want them here for 18 more months so they can commit crimes. How about 18 more months so they can rebuild houses in Florida, in Texas, in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Los Angeles? How about that? And at the same time, Donald Trump is also telling his voters that he should get rid of FEMA. So FEMA is going to go in Donald Trump's mind. It's going to be replaced by what? States who are already undertaxed, underfunded, and they're going to pay for disaster recovery going into the hundreds of billions of dollars in their region. That's the reason we created FEMA, because states aren't going to do that on their own. Private government's not going to do it on their own. I mean, private industry's not going to do it on their own. There's no private-public partnership that forms after a disaster. Who's going to pay the freight? The insurance companies? So we're going to leave it to the insurance companies to rebuild your house and your school and your gas line. Oh, good luck. This is the law of unintended consequences. The vast majority of resilience workers come from places like Venezuela that Kristi Noem just evicted from the country. The last time we saw something like this was after Hurricane Ida in Florida. And in that one, pardon me, after Ron DeSantis went after the undocumented, they dropped their tools and went underground and disappeared, which meant that recovery is still going on, and recovery was stretched out longer, harder.
Yeah, so I just wanted to pause it so we can talk about what he said so far. Yeah, because I'm trying to take it all in, and this is also a reaction video, so I don't want to have him just go on and not react to what he said so far.
Yeah, it's a lot, but like I said, it just sounds. It's a very tricky and a slippery slope because you don't know what's going on. You don't know who's actually, because like I say, it's kind of a slippery slope because I don't know the people from Venezuela. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, okay, for the most part, like I said, that's kind of like we live in America. And so, yeah, you're going to get it. That's like me saying to you that time, well, yeah, I would probably date more black men because I'm black. But at this point in time, yeah, you're going to get more crime committed by Americans because we're here in America. Well, you can't really say that I don't know if they're committing any crimes or not. But it sounds like it could be, like I said, a messed up situation based off of not having enough information on whether or not these people are actually working here. So that's another story that you would have to deal with. But at the same time, I don't understand any of this stuff because, again, it is what it is because it's kind of like collateral damage when you go out here and do that. And that's like damage that you couldn't stop anyway.
Okay.
Because it's like, if they're in the thing of sending people home or sending people back to their own country, well, that's, like I said, it's kind of like, I understand is, there are people that want to work and they come into work, and it's hard, like I said, it will be hard to weed it out, to know who is who and what is what, but I understand what he's saying, but.
Yeah, and some of these people, when you say home, even though I know we're calling them illegals and everything, some of them have been here so long that this is their home. They've been working here in America, making our country thrive, doing jobs that...
These people they haven't been here that long. These are the people that just came to work for 18 months. They come over here to work.
So I'm talking about illegals in general. I'm not just talking about them. I'm saying everybody right now, they're doing mass deportations with Mexicans and things like that. So the Venezuelans that he's talking about, yeah, I can understand it. My thing with that, if they just came here, okay, but there's people that are being deported that have been here for years, that have been working in our country for years. And what I'm hearing him say is what's being told to us is, okay, these people are coming over here and they're doing all these crimes and everything, but that sounds like that's a minute number. That's not even a high number of crimes. Most of the crimes are being done by our own Americans. So yeah, I for me, if they just came here and if they have a way of knowing who just came here, okay, you haven't been here long enough for that to be something that, but when I think about what I see, and since I've been living on this earth, I have seen, you know, the immigrants that we're speaking of, I've seen them doing jobs that nobody else was out in the fields. And I come from New Jersey, and I know Hamilton, New Jersey being huge with the blueberry fields. The only people I've seen working in those fields were Mexican people. So, you know, they're working the jobs that nobody else wants to work.
You would have to say Spanish, but I hear what you're saying.
Well,
but here's
okay, well, the president calls them that, so yeah.
Well, here's the thing. See, what they're saying is there is, like, everybody, like I was telling you about West Indian people. There's a way to come in the country, but there are rules you have to come into with the country. You just can't. See, that's like saying you got your house at your house, and anybody could walk in your house and just start living.
See? Well, this is how America was founded, right? By stealing land.
But right
now we want to kick
Mm.
people off the very land that they stole themselves.
But you not see. That's why you had to understand.
Okay.
What that does is, if you got that, okay. So what's stopping anybody that wanted to hurt you to go through Mexico and come in here and then hurt you?
But that's the fear tactics that they're putting out here, and what I'm
Yeah, that's a reality.
That's not even
That's
a high number.
But see, that's a reality. That could happen. See, okay, so what you live in your house right now, leave your door open tonight. Don't lock your doors. See, because the people that come in might not hurt you. That's the thing. We don't know who's who. This is where we live. This is still where we live. No country has a open door policy. I can't argue with the open door policy. Yeah, this country was found on immigrants coming here, but you have to play by the rules. Jamaicans, when they come here, they got to come here with passports. They got to come here with stuff, and they're not guaranteed to stay.
Is it fair to say
everybody has to come in?
And I get that, but is it fair to say that if I leave my door open, the fear is not of you said what is it, a Latino person to come into my house? The fear is usually it's an American person that's been that's what I'm saying. They're trying to throw crime out there as if
when you leave the door open, anybody, that's the whole thing. But anybody could come in if you got a door open. See, anybody. I'm not talking about Latinos. I'm talking anybody. Leave your door open and see who come in. Then you'll know who come in.
Okay, so
I'm not saying it's just them. I'm saying that's why a country can't operate under that same premise of we just gonna have an open door policy. You can't go up to Canada and leave in Canada. See, you can't do it.
And I agree 100%. Yes.
So even some of the people that was from Mexico are saying the same thing, that they had to go through a policy to get here. Now you're telling me other people just came in, okay, well, I do all this work to get here, and they don't.
Yeah, I agree. When you're talking about the people he's talking about that just came here, I agree. Okay, there has to be, if this is creating issues, there's got to be a cutoff. I'm concerned about the people who's been living here like forever, most of their life. That's my concern.
If you're legally here, you can stay here. They can't make a person leave if they went through the process of getting here. See,
but this is my thing with that too. Okay, so for some of these people that's been here for years, okay, they were getting assistance here, they were getting housing, so if you're gonna do all that, why not make them legal? How hard is it to become legal? You're giving them housing, you're giving them loans for restaurants.
But see, that's what the last
make them legal.
But that's what the last administration did. That's what he's saying he's not doing. So the last administration did that, but his administration saying they don't want that. So that's a difference. But if you're here legally, they can't mess with you. I'm not saying put nobody back that is here legally. That if you're here legally, you got to stay. And if anybody wants to stay, there's a policy and there's a thing that you have to go through to stay here. So they're saying they want them to go through that channel to get here. That way we got document that you are here. Mm-hmm. When you got everybody in here and you don't know where everybody is and what anybody's doing, that's the same thing. That's even if we did it with black people or Jamaicans. If they could just come over here and just start living, then we ain't got no paperwork on them, and we don't know what's this, what's that. See, we got to pay taxes here.
And they are paying taxes here too.
Nobody said there wasn't.
They are. The
legal ones
people
are.
from Mexico are paying taxes here.
Again, but you can't say if you're not here and you don't have a social security number, you can't pay taxes. So that's what we're saying. You got to go through the proper channels to get here to live. And nobody's saying you can't come here to live.
Yeah. I agree that there should be a proper channel. Now that I don't have a rebuttal with that, but I have a rebuttal with how things are being handled, because when you do this suddenly like this, okay, it affects everything. Okay, just doing research with all that, but I'll get into that in a little bit. We could play a little bit more because, again, he just said nobody else is walking in doing this,
making Americans suffer. See, Donald Trump wants to make Americans suffer in order to make some sort of political point. You know, he's so doubled down on this undocumented workplace raids in churches, raids in schools, all the places that were sanctuary and forbidden. Because why? What are we getting rid of? It's not criminals. As I've said before, the vast majority of crime in America is committed by Americans, period. Very small amount by the undocumented. You do the math, and we need them in certain industries. Look, it's already been shown statistically that the regular construction industry, having nothing to do with resilience or recovery construction or rebuilding, the regular good old-fashioned construction industry, building your homes and apartments and condos and schools and infrastructure and your local Main Street, you know, that kind of construction, all of that depends on the undocumented. It's, again, the dirty underbelly of America, but it's the reality. One major Houston developer, just as a point of reference, he said if he had to get rid of the undocumented, which apparently he has, he would get rid of 50% of his workforce, and it wouldn't be replaced by anybody because no one's going to replace it. Now, it's even worse in the disaster recovery arena because now you got to get somebody who's willing to go into an unstable building that's about to collapse, or go up on a roof that's half blown down, or go into a pond that's covered with environmental leakage from something, right? And do that disaster recovery. I have news for Donald Trump and MAGA. MAGA doesn't want to do the dirty jobs. The only dirty job they ever did was to attack the Capitol on Jan 6th. But the real dirty job, they don't want to do that. And so Donald Trump's going to have to look the American people in the eye soon. And the Republican Party is going to have to do the same thing and say, we got rid of the undocumented. Therefore, your recovery efforts are going to be delayed by years, if ever. We're going to get rid of FEMA, and we're going to leave it to the states and the insurance companies, and we're going to leave you to their clutches. Physio, chiropractic, and massage therapy are all great resources for when you need them. But only available at our link. Start 2025 right. Stand, move, thrive with Uplift Desk. You know, there's an old line about the government that people seem to have forgotten. The government is my enemy until I need a friend. Well, as soon as your house blows away, right, or blows down or burns down or whatever is going on in your life, then you need a friend. And that's supposed to be the federal government doing something that the individual states can't do collectively, just by sheer volume, because of the logistics around it and the dollar amount around it. And so Donald Trump is totally ignoring that and issuing these statements. And I got more news for him. You know, I live in Florida. I've lived in Florida. I have very close friends in most of these immigrant communities forever. They are proud. They are hardworking. They, whether it's the Haitian community in Miami, the Venezuelan community in Miami, the Brazilian community in Miami, the El Salvadorian community, the Mexican community, they are tremendous. I'm just doing a list, but I'm not complete. And they are personally insulted by the suggestion that those from their countries that have come here and are currently undocumented because of a lack of a dignified immigration policy in this country, that they are criminals. Because right next to the undocumented Venezuelan in Miami, as an example, is a good old-fashioned, regular, hardworking, documented Venezuelan, and he or she support that undocumented person emotionally, morally, culturally, and otherwise, and they don't take kindly to that. That's why I can't believe that there was any aspect of gain by Donald Trump in the Latin or Hispanic community during this last election. His policies hurt and demean these very communities. Yeah. For those that say, well, I'm already here and I've got my grandfather came here, or I got my green card and they should too. Look at how the undocumented contribute to our society. I've said it before. Let me tie it together here. Last year alone, undocumented, paid in federal income tax $65 billion. That's about $65 billion more than Donald Trump did. And they're undocumented. So there is what we're watching consistently with the Trump administration.
That's going to mess
is a complete lack of any holistic 360-degree evaluation about a policy issue before it's implemented. There's no thought process. There's no thinking ahead on a chessboard. They're playing checkers or parcheesi and they're losing because there's no thought. And there's no thought, if I do this, this will happen, and this will happen, and this will happen. No deep thought or policy analysis. I'm not talking about analysis paralysis. I'm talking about deep thought and deep thinking that has to go into a complicated policy decision. How could that be?
Hold on, before you pay for yet another app to manage.
This will happen, and this will happen, and this will happen. No deep thought or policy analysis. I'm not talking about analysis paralysis. I'm talking about deep thought and deep thinking that has to go into a complicated policy decision. How could that be? He'll never do that. First of all, that's inconsistent with the nanosecond of attention span of Donald Trump. That's one. Two, he's already sold his soul and whatever else is left of him to special interest groups that have him by the brass ones. So he's got a warped sense of what is appropriate national security and economic policy or immigration policy for America, because he's in the back pocket of big oil, big tech, big crypto, and you name it. You never had a president who was so transparently manipulated by outside interest groups. And then you add into that Donald Trump has his own business interests that are not allied or aligned with American values and America's best interest, because he's not making decisions about domestic and foreign policy based on what's right after a deep thought. We have policy institutes, think tanks. There's no think tank in the Trump administration. There's no think. And he's in the tank there. See, I knew if I went long enough, I put it together. There's no thought. There's no thought process. And so before you decided to get rid of 600,000 Venezuelans, somebody should have done a study. But we're only 11, 12 days into the administration. So who did that study? Nobody. But somebody should have done a study to look at what will be the impact on the economy, the impact to the areas where they are contributing to society. But since you're making the false narrative that they're not contributing to society, that they're criminals, you don't bother with the analysis of how they'll negatively impact or their removal from society will have a bad impact on us, because you want to argue they're criminals and removing them is a good thing. Tell that to your neighbor whose house just burned down, who can't get a disaster recovery worker to work for him, or a company to work for him, or in Texas, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, who can't get a roof on their house, who can't move into their house, who has no fresh running water or other utilities because of this failure. And let me just do a special comment about them. This group of undocumented resiliency workers, they are threatened and abused by their employers. There's no protection for them because they're undocumented. They'll work hard a month or two. They won't get paid. And then the employer will the contractor will try to beat them out and say, if you argue with me, I'll have you deported. So they go underground and they don't have to be paid. They don't have health care.
Yeah, that is.
They don't have just normal basic OSHA protections around them, safety protections around them, because they're always living under threat that if you don't do this job for cheap or nothing, I'm going to have you deported. There's even violence being perpetrated against them. They are doing God's work. They are doing an honorable day's job for less than the minimum wage. And our thanks for that, our gratitude is repaid how? To have them deported. I'm going to continue to follow what we're watching, which is an erratic, unstable, thoughtless administration that does not think through any of its policy decisions. We've got other hot takes up right now about, the freeze. We're going to freeze federal funding. We're going to impound it. We're going to throw the entire American economy off kilter and off its axis. And then a judge blocks it. Oh, sorry. We're going to unfreeze. This is the thought process. As I said, there's no think tank. There's no think. And Donald Trump's in the tank for all. He's wrapped up in ethical business conflicts because of all the businesses that he owns. He's got foreign powers that are investing in him, that's having him make decisions not for the American people, but for himself. And he's beholden to these special interest groups like the ones that want him to continue to go after the transgender community, continue to go after the women in America and degrade them, go after immigrants because it's a good talking point. All immigrant, in their mind, he took an x-ray of their mind or a snapshot of their mind. It says immigrants equal criminals. Criminals need to be deported. I mean, this is how they think.
Is that how he said it?
Instead of undocumented immigrants are doing a very hard job and doing a lot of dirty jobs in our country. Workplace raids, go ahead. See what happens to your food supply. See what happens to your fruit and vegetable supply. See what happens to your construction. See what happens to your rebuild of your house. Yeah. Come back to me here. Let's meet here in 3 months and see what happens. I don't want that kind of social experiment. Let's push this button and find out what happens. I don't want to do that. Yeah, and that's not the way you run a government. I'll continue to follow it all right here on the Midas Touch Network and on Legal AF. I'm Michael Popak. Wednesdays and Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, regular show, Legal AF, on the podcast here on the Midas Touch Network, and a brand new channel, Legal AF, the YouTube channel, Legal AF MTN. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF contribution, I'm Michael Popak, and I'm reporting.
Okay, well, that was definitely an interesting point of view on his end.
Well, like I said, he said a whole bunch. It wasn't a well thought out process, but you still have to look at things from that perspective. We often used to call that collateral damage, meaning that the process, you got swept up in the process. But I think they should have gave more thought to that because, you can't, like I said, I think it was just a whole thing of, well, you know what, we're just going to get rid of everybody that's not here documented wise. But at the same time, there's a process, and the process has to be carried out. But we don't look at it from the aspect of when you come over here. That's when you was talking about the vacant people that were living over there, and that process was kind of off.
Yeah, because it's like you're running into a burning building without a water hose. Like, how are you going to put out the fire? You're just running in there blindly. And like he said, it's like pushing a button. Oh, let's see what happens here. I'm not trying to be a guinea pig. And that's what I feel like and I know you mentioned collateral damage earlier. I don't want to be collateral damage because there's so many effects that it has when you don't think out the process. I did research on it earlier. What effects will the deportations and tariffs have on our country? Okay, housing prices are definitely going to increase with mortgages and rent. The Department of Housing and Urban Development predicts that it's going to go up 4.8 increase. And, that's rents and everything nationwide. Okay, mortgages, people's mortgages, high mortgages. The rate will continue to go up, and pressure on prices will also worsen for a lack of supply. When he spoke about the illegals and the stuff that they do as far as going in these houses and the things that where they're being threatened to be deported if they don't do work for less wages, or they're being threatened to even just do the work with not even getting paid sometimes. Well, the people who are buying, the contractors, then use that money for all their supplies because they're paying this person next to nothing. If you go and you get Americans to do these jobs now, okay, you're going to have to come out of the pocket to pay an American because, okay, we need health. I'm not going to go do construction job. I can get injured. I need health insurance. I need you to offer me health insurance. I need different things. So the price is going to go up. There has to be an HR behind this because if something happens, if I need family leave, if somebody in my family, maternity leave, there's so much things you need that they weren't offering some of these people. But yet he just said the billions of dollars that they put in the tax revenue, where they were still paying taxes with their nickels and dimes that they were getting paid. They were still paying into our country's taxes. So then again, that does mess up our tax revenue, our taxes and things like that, because you're taking billions of dollars out of that when you're doing this at no thought process. The crime rate. When you think about crimes, what happens when people are pushed into the corner? So with all this being said, okay, and you have people that are at home, because let's face it, since I don't know the proper word I'm supposed to say, but the 2020, when everybody, we can't say the C word. So when the pandemic happened, okay, and that still happens. So when that was going on, you still have a lot of American people that haven't gone back to work from that. But yet you have illegals that are out here doing jobs that some other people might not want to do. So with them leaving, and when you're putting these people at no thought process, who's going to do those jobs? That's why I want to call this video, who's going to do the jobs that the illegals are doing? Now that's raising prices, because the jobs that people were doing for less, now you're going to have to pay people more to do those jobs. That could cause more crime rates. Now people can't afford their housing, so people might resort to doing more crime because they still need to feed their family. You know, if the food prices are going up and people can't afford to even pay their rent, how are they going to afford to feed their family? So you might just see, it's almost like, I feel like they're backing the American people up in the corner, and let's just see what happens when we take all this stuff away. Let's see how they'll survive. And that doesn't sound like it's beneficial at all. It does not.
Well, we got to wrap this up. We're over 32 minutes here. And this was a 20-minute video. It was interesting to say the least, like I said. And when I say collateral damage, it's the part of, well, other people are gonna get hurt in the process of,
and that's not good. That's horrible.
And that's reality, though. That happens in everything. See?
And you're okay with that? You're okay with American people being hurt in the process? And you know something? When I think about it,
when they say that,
been hurting American people, because this is my thing, and
I wasn't talking about American people. What I'm saying is, when you're doing a sweep of taking people out of the country, collateral damages, sometimes some of the people that's legally here will get picked up. That's called collateral damage. They will get put back, but they're going to get picked up, because that's what we're looking for. It's like when we fought the war in Vietnam. See, if it was North Vietnam against South Vietnam, do you think those people looked any different? They were Vietnamese. So it was a war that they fought that they didn't understand. So you had casualties of war because some people were killed from both sides because you didn't, as an American going over there fighting. That's called collateral damage. That's what we're saying. It's going to be some people that get deported that will get into this because they were sweeping people. That's the collateral damage I'm talking about. America, being that they own their stuff, they're not going to get caught up in the collateral damage.
Yeah.
Collateral damage generally comes to the people that they're going to pick up, and they might pick you up, and you are here legally, but they go pick you up because you are from El Salvador or one of the places they're picking up people. That's what we talk about when we say collateral damage. Okay. You might be here legally, you might even be from here, but it's the fact that you are El Salvador, they might pick you up. That's like when we can go back to the 1960s and the black people. See, and I remember the movie Hurricane, and Denzel was in Hurricane, and the cops stopped him, and they said, "We're looking for 3 black males in a car." And so Denzel asked him, "Well, any 3 black males do?" See, that's collateral damage. They're gonna pick you up anyway. 3 black males.
But see, and with that being said, when I think of that, I will say I wanted to add too. that as an American citizen that has been paying taxes ever since I could work, which was as a teen, since I've been paying taxes. So when I think about that, the only thing I didn't agree with this whole thing with my country, because there's been times that I've actually been injured and needed help just as recently as, not even that long ago. Okay. So my problem with that is when I do see people coming to this country and they're getting a whole spread, it's like a whole buffet of help. Okay. But for somebody like me who was born and raised in this country, and I dealt with, oh no, sorry, you can't get, that was my thing. You don't feed another house and you can't take care. Now that's the problem, and that's where a problem a lot of Americans have, where they did try to take out loans for businesses and stuff and they were denied, but then people come here and they get it. That's the only issue I have. But how they're handling this now, because I also see, just the other day I'm out on my route and I see a whole bunch of Mexican people, okay, and they're doing a job that nobody else, they're in this beautiful community, but they're waist deep in the dirt, digging, trying to feed some wiring that must have been messed up in this town, and they're out there working hard. They're working hard, and it really hit home, because I'm like, wow. Okay. And I thought about that, and I'm like, yes, in my life, I've never seen them work hard. So it does. When I think of that, I'm like, okay, what's going to come of this? Who's going to do these jobs that all these people were doing? That's a good question. So
okay, well, let's wrap this up. It was an interesting video. Like I said, it's interesting, and it's a thought process. It's something that I think they should have thought about a little bit differently. Maybe should have took the time to think about. But at the same time, like I said, it's a messed up situation all over. So you can't. I couldn't begin to fix it. So I don't even know how to even analyze that whole thing. But it was an interesting video, to say the least. But go ahead, Shay, because we're going to probably work.
So again, with this being said, again, just wanted to drop a different reaction video, just because I know this is something that people are talking about out here, and we found it interesting and we were able to react to it real time. Stay positive, stay prayed up. Like Luke said, what can we change? But we can make a difference. We can actually be kind, pray, because that's most important. Just stay prayed up, because at the end of the day, God is still in control. And here at LUKE-N-SHAE'S place, a positive mentality is a destined reality. Your mental health is important. There's a lot going on in our country, but your mental health is important. Stay focused and wear your smile as much as possible.
Stay safe and God